Welcome back. In this lesson, we're going to go over the basic notions of how to move around the interface of Cinema 4D. So let's start with how to move around the space here. You can do that with a keyboard shortcut, or you can do it with this icon here. So let's start with that. So clicking here, we can move around like this. You can zoom in and out with this icon and also rotate with this one. We could create an object so you can see this properly. So click here where you'll find the primitive shapes. And I can select any object, for example, a cube. And so I'll move, zoom in or out, rotate. You can also do this with shortcuts. So if you press 1, you get this movement, which is the first icon. Press 2 for zoom and 3 for rotation. In this panel here are all the objects and elements that we've created or placed in our space. So if I select a sphere, it appears here next to the cube. So as I select different objects, they appear here on the panel. So here's the cube, the sphere, and the other cube. In the bottom right-hand corner are the properties of each object. So we've got the values on the x-axis, the y-axis, and the z-axis. The axes are represented in different colours: green, red for x, and blue for z. You can delete all these elements by selecting them and pressing delete. In this section, you also have the segments. You can add more or less segments to the object when you're modelling. At the moment, the primitive object we have, the cube, is not an editable object. We can make it editable with the shortcut C, or clicking on this icon here in the left-hand corner. We need to add the segments so we can model or sculpt the object. So that's what I'll do. But before we start modelling, I'm going to select this fillet option. By adjusting the radius, you can give it a beveled effect on the edges. You can also choose how many subdivisions that fillet, that bevel, will have. This all depends on what you want to do exactly, what shape you're going for. So you could apply it or not. For now, I'm not going to apply the fillet. Okay, so make it editable by pressing C, and here I can see the different selection modes. I can select by sides, edges, or points. So this is by sides, look. Can select the edges like this. You can adjust the selection like this, and then the points. Okay, like this. I can move them. The icon here is the scale option. This one here. So if I select by sides and then I select the scale option, there we go. I can also press T on my keyboard, and then I can move it to scale. You can do the same for rotation. You can press R on your keyboard. So it's quite simple. Let's take a look at some other options that make our modelling process a bit easier. So here we have the views. So I could go to the top view, for example. And I can make a selection, just as I did before. I could select from the front view instead. on the right. I can even change this here to the left side. And when I select, you can't see it here because it's on the other side. Okay? I can set the views to perspective, parallel, left or right, front or back. And each one of these are editable. So let's leave it how it was at the beginning, at the top. So all this is quite simple. I just wanted to show you the basics of the program, which you'll need for the rest of the course. And in the next lesson, we're going to learn how to model an object using a reference image. I'll see you there.